The regular fantasy football season is well over halfway through. I want to talk with you about looking ahead to your playoff schedule. It's definitely not too early, especially if your record puts you at or near the top of your league. With only a few weeks left to trade, now is the time to make a move to get someone who has more favorable matchups during the playoffs. Check to see which weeks your playoff stretch is. Does it start week 14 or 15, and is it a 2-week or a 3-week playoff? Now match that information with an amazing strength of schedule tool on scout.com/fantasy and choose Tools on the menu bar and click on the strength of schedule. Since I don't know your exact playoff schedule, I can't give you the exact order, but these are some of the best and worst matchups in weeks 14 to 16. Some quarterbacks with the easiest playoff opponents: Philip Rivers of the San Diego Chargers, and right now is the time to trade for him after doing so poorly against the Broncos. Matt Ryan, Atlanta Falcons; Tyrod Taylor, Buffalo Bills; Dak Prescott or Tony Romo, Dallas Cowboys; and Kirk Cousins, Washington Redskins. Some quarterbacks with the toughest playoff opponents would be Andy Dalton of the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Flacco of the Baltimore Ravens, and Andrew Luck of the Indianapolis Colts. And in week 16, by the way, championship weekend, Alex Smith of the Chiefs will be facing the Broncos defense, and Aaron Rodgers of the Packers will be facing the Vikings defense. Two matchups you do not want. So be thinking of who you might want there instead. Now, some running backs with easiest playoff opponents: Jonathan Stewart of the Carolina Panthers. Trade for him if you can. Latavius Murray, Oakland Raiders; Jeremy Hill and Giovanni Bernard of the Cincinnati Bengals; Doug Martin and Jacquizz Rodgers of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some running backs with the toughest playoff opponents would be McKinnon and Asiata of the Minnesota Vikings. In fact, I'd trade away Asiata tomorrow if you can, while his commodity is hotter. Also, the Washington Redskins backfield of Matt Jones, Chris Thompson, and Robert Kelly. Tough matchup, and it's a committee anyway. I wouldn't consider them for the playoffs. Some wide receivers with the easiest playoff opponents: Tyrell Williams of the San Diego Chargers; Julio Jones, Atlanta Falcons; Dez Bryant of the Dallas Cowboys, who showed up big time Sunday night. The Detroit receivers, Golden Tate or Marvin Jones, but you'll have to figure out which one is on the hotter streak in the playoffs. And Mike Evans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I would trade for him if you can. Some wide receivers with the toughest playoff opponents. The toughest would be Jeremy Maclin of the Kansas City Chiefs. Also A.J. Green of the Cincinnati Bengals, and perhaps this is who you could trade to get Mike Evans. Julian Edelman of the New England Patriots. He hasn't been doing well anyway, but if he can get a good game or two in, I would trade him away because he's not going to do well in the playoffs. Some tight ends with the easiest playoff opponents: Hunter Henry of the San Diego Chargers. Philip Rivers really likes this guy. I would pick him up if you can. And Fedorowicz of the Houston Texans. He's one of the lone bright spots on a team that's not doing so well, and he has a great playoff schedule. Greg Olsen is another good one from the Carolina Panthers. But some tight ends with the toughest playoff opponents would be Jimmy Graham of the Seattle Seahawks and Coby Fleener of the New Orleans Saints. So, see what you can do to nab a player or two now who will help you win in the playoffs in another month. Remember from my last video about tips on trading players, how you can bundle players together, which is often a better idea than trading one for one. So I hope you're having an amazing time playing this game, but remember to enjoy life along the way because it's pretty short. So keep loving and forgiving the ones you love.